I'm honored to introduce to you the creator of the Hunger Games themselves, Dean Casca Highbottom.
I have summoned you all here for the 10th annual reaping ceremony, in which we choose 2 children from each district to fight to the death in the Hunger Games.
From District 12, Lucy Gray Baird.
There has been a change this year. As a mentor, Mr. Snow, your role is to turn these children into spectacles, not survivors.
What does my mentor do besides bring me roses?
I do my best to take care of you.
You really want to take care of me in that arena? Start by thinking I can actually win.
I'm Lucky Flickerman, first ever host of the Hunger Games.
Enjoy the show.
5, 4,
Enjoy the show.
3, 2,
Enjoy the show.
run.
Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today in the arena, Dylan Blyth.
I hope I'm not in the arena. But yes, I'm here.
We're going to fight to the death. Oh no!
Wow. Oh my god.
So today we're talking about the latest Hunger Games movie. Before we get started, Dylan, what's your history with the Hunger Games? Did you enjoy the movies that launched Jennifer Lawrence's career?
So I read all the books prior to I'd read the whole franchise prior to the movies and everything. I haven't actually read this book though, so I've only read the originals, but I've never watched the last 2 films. I've read all the books. So I know the story, I just never
know the story, you just didn't watch the films.
Yeah. Well, I watched the first 2 films. I watched the first 2.
Yeah. You didn't watch the last 2, so you only watched half.
I didn't watch Mockingjay Part 1 or Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think people gathered that.
Yeah. Just to clarify.
Yes. I have read none of the books. I've watched all the movies now. So, and for the most part, they're pretty enjoyable.
I'm gonna watch Mockingjay. I've been doing a rewatch, so
they're pretty enjoyable. Like, there's a little bit of diminishing returns. I think, in my opinion, the second one's Catching Fire is my favorite.
Yeah, I think that's
then the second one's then the first movie, then the sequels. Yeah. So, but yeah, let's get into this, and I assume we're going to potentially spoil anything else in in general conversation. So please be aware, we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the series as a whole. So if you haven't watched everything, I guess, or at least
if you haven't read all the books,
if you haven't read all the books, watched all the movies, come back later. With that said, let's jump into our discussion of The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, directed by Francis Lawrence, written by Michael Lesslie and Michael Arndt, based on The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne, starring Tom Blyth, Rachel Zegler, Peter Dinklage, Hunter Schafer, Andrés Rivera, Jason Schwartzman, and Viola Davis. Years before he would become the tyrannical president of Panem, 18-year-old Coriolanus Snow is the last hope for his fading lineage, a once proud family that has fallen from grace in a post-war capital. With the 10th annual Hunger Games fast approaching, the young Snow is alarmed when he is assigned to mentor Lucy Gray Baird, the female tribute from the impoverished District 12. But after Lucy Gray commands all of Panem's attention by defiantly singing during the reaping ceremony, Snow thinks he might be able to turn the odds in his favor, or their favor. Uniting their instinct for showmanship and newfound political savvy, Snow and Lucy Gray's race against the time to survive will ultimately reveal who is a songbird and who is a snake. Dylan, what do you think of this Hunger Games prequel focused on the villain of the Hunger Games?
I mean, who is the villain of the Hunger Games? Is the villain inside all of us? Is it us for watching the films? I enjoyed it. I definitely think it's good. I started working on a review before, because you just watched this. I watched this yesterday. Yes. So I think I'm around like a 7.5 sort of thing. I think the movie's like 70% great, and then sort of has a lot of pacing problems as it heads into that final act. Which I would be really interested now to actually either probably not read the book, but like listen to the book so I can get a head around like how much does that last act affect the book, or is it done completely differently? You know, I've got like a lot of questions around how that like acts in a different medium or how it feels in a different medium. But as a movie, I definitely feel like it's look, as I said, I haven't watched the last two, but I don't feel like it's a hot take to say that this is probably the best one other than this is probably going to be second to Catching Fire. I think the cast is really good. So I think Rachel Zegler is fantastic as Lucy. I think Tom Blyth does a lot with fucking dumb name. Choreo. But I'll come back to him in a second because I think he's also one of the film's like sort of weaker points. Viola Davis is fucking fantastic and having a ball just eating each and every second that she gets a chance to be on screen. I really enjoyed seeing Hunter Schafer because I love her, but she obviously has only got like 2 minutes of screen time.
It was at least 3.
Yeah, well, still, she was really, really good when she was on screen.
Yeah.
I really like seeing her like do something like this, but just disappointed to get more. And then old mate, what's the other dude's name? Her fucking friend. I can't remember the actor's name. Max Raphael Festus Creed. He was good too, or whatever, but
Josh Andrés Rivera.
No, I was about to say that's not right. That's wrong. Yeah. He was good too, but nothing right home about. So I feel like this, I would say, and again, another reason I'm sort of keen to do the book now is fantastic. Like that first like 3/4. Also shout out also to fucking who plays old Flickwick?
Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah, he's having a ball too.
It's fun to imagine that he's a precursor to old mate
Stanley Tucci's.
Yeah. So he's modeled them himself on this guy.
Very much. That's what it seems like, yeah, which is funny. But he's a weatherman, you know. He
does a weather cross in the middle of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And does amateur magic.
Why not? I really like the idea of this story, like diving, like because knowing nothing about it, like seeing it's the villain's origin story or whatever. I was sort of like, but why do I like care to a degree? And I feel like the movie, and I'm not sure if the book does the same thing. I actually feel like the movie sort of downfall is that it tries to humanize Corio a bit too much to the point that like I'm like, I know he's the bad guy, right? Like who are we tricking here? Are we tricking the audience that has never watched the Hunger Games? Because I'm pretty sure the majority of the people watching this know that dude's the bad guy. Like, why do we need to actually pretend to make him likable? Like you can still have me interested. You're not going to kill my interest in a movie if you just outright from the beginning like have him be more of a conniving little fuck. Like that's what I was sort of expecting, but this whole thing to make him more likable didn't really work for me personally, and I think that's one of the problems with the movie is just that it's like going up against a brick wall of my brain being like, but he's the bad guy. Like I know he's a fucking terrible person. Like why are you trying to sort of humanize him? And the thing is, like, it's not even like he switches from this like really, really good person to bad because of something happens in his life. He's like sort of a dick throughout the whole movie, but like riding on that thin line and like sort of doing good, but most of the time just because it falls within his favor anyway. And then like by the end, obviously, you know, full evil guy sort of thing. So that's sort of one of my major problems. But like the whole like setup.
I didn't find that as much of a problem. Maybe because I kind of, for the most part, forgot about the previous movie, so I'm like kind of feel like I went in reasonably fresh and kind of forgot that he was a bad guy at the end. I just feel
maybe it doesn't help I watched the first 2 movies in the last 2 weeks in the lead up.
Yeah, that might not have helped. It's like, fuck this guy. Yeah, I'd feel like his fall to the dark side was just way too fast. Like you build him up as like a really good character, I guess, like, or like,
yeah, well that's
more positive leading character.
That's part of the problem. Whereas if he was bad like, the entire time, like,
yeah, I mean, he does some like on the edge kind
of
stuff.
Some questionable things,
you know,
but...
of course, he like cheated and that kind of stuff. Even though, you know, he's cheating for somebody we like and that kind of stuff. But yeah, he suddenly is like murdering people in the middle of a room and that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I just feel like the third act was very stretched out and very, but also very quick.
This is the major problem with the third act is that he that third act relies too heavily on you being like into this romance and liking him and like feeling he has potential to be good, but it's not really a thing I felt I could get into at all. So I struggled when we got to that third act with the time jump and all set during
It also just felt very weird that the end of the Hunger Games was not the climax of the movie.
I guess yes and no. I don't know. Yeah. But in general, I think it's the idea of the Hunger Games, like setting this during a period at the 10th Hunger Games before it was and again, like having
before it was what we've seen before,
and watching those two movies coming into this, like it's just such a like people are eating up, devouring. You know, the whole thing is these super rich. There's a scene like where in the second one when I just rewatched that Catching Fire, where it's like they're handed a thing at a party. It's like, what's this liquid for? And it's like, oh, you drink it so you can throw up, so you can eat more. And then they point out, you know, you've got people like starving, but they're like throwing up, so you know, and all this sort of stuff, and then they're devouring the food or whatever. So seeing this time period where you've got, it's like they've won the war kind of, but it's in this sort of dusty area where not everything's settled and worked out.
Everybody's still put around.
Yeah, you've got some rich
the
people,
districts
but
aren't
like
quite downtrodden.
Yeah, but Corio's like poorer even than I feel like even some people from the districts. It seems like, but he's just living in.
He's just trying to his best to fake it.
Yeah, so it's like sort of a really interesting perspective from all of that. It's not where we get to, and seeing how even the people, the way they react to the singing and like buying into her, getting attached to what's her name, Lucy Gray, like getting attached to her as a person in the games and seeing that as like a precursor to how he obviously shapes the games in the future and makes them this this altruistic like thing that's very similar to, I guess, our real world now, where people just sort of blind us off and happily. Oh no, the Hunger Games like is real. It's like a teenage franchise, but it's always been interesting, and I feel like this movie still works to sort of view it within the confines of our own world. And especially like what's happening at the moment with war and everything is quite interesting. Costume. Before you go, costumes killed it again, and I actually really liked the cinematography. I felt it was shot really, really well. Those are the two quick things I'll say.
No, I completely agree. My issue is the third act kind of like drags out, but everything before that was very riveting and super enjoyable to follow along with. The actual Hunger Games itself was really great. Like there were definitely a lot of surprises, like going in. Like I didn't expect the terrorist attack, I guess, while they're surveying the arena. Like
no, I think I think it actually got me like a jump scare. Like
yeah, it's like what the fuck is happening? I thought it was like, oh, they're actually just showing off what the arena is actually going to look like. It's like everything's falling away. This is what it's going to look like, really. But no, it was an actual attack. But yeah, also I loved how, obviously, you know, because it is 60 something years before the ones we've been watching, like how low tech everything is, from the very basic cameras to it actually being like a reasonably small arena compared to like the massive giant spaces that we're used to in the couple of Hunger Games we've watched. Or even like any like survival battle royale kind of thing. Like a lot of them are like massive, wide spanning areas. This was very contained.
I guess it's like, again, thematically, it just takes it back to the bare bones, like gladiator days, like Roman Empire type shit, Colosseum, just people fighting to death for enjoyment of those watching. Like it boils it down to the basics of like what's actually happened in our own history.
I also enjoy that there was very little hand holding. Like there wasn't a lot of explaining about, you know, the process of the Hunger Games, what tributes or all that. They just assumed that people would know going straight in. So I don't know if this is something you'd watch if you haven't watched any Hunger Games.
I mean, you could, and I guess any questions you had would lead you to watch the films and get the answers, you know?
I would say I think you should not watch this first, because then you'll be like, in the following movies, Man, it's really weird that this girl is named after like some weed potatoes.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't feel like you should watch this first, but I think someone who stumbled across this and decides to watch it randomly, it's not like they're not going to. I don't think it's going to be a bad.
No,
movie
it's not
for
going to.
them.
Yeah, it's not going to ruin anything. But
No,
it's not the preferred method, I guess.
No.
Yeah, Viola Davis, fantastic. Just a very weird game master, doing all sorts of crazy experiments, including the snakes. Obviously, the Chamber of Snakes, fucking terrifying. And like willing to get that classmate, pretty much killed, just to figure out who made all the notes and stuff. Like, there's a lot of messed up, willy-nilly killing of people, which you kind of would expect in a Hunger Games movie. I really love Peter Dinklage in this movie.
I hated him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite. I actually really didn't like him in this movie.
Interesting. I feel like maybe I can understand that, because I feel like his motivations aren't revealed till the very end of the movie.
Yeah. The whole movie, right up until the last scene, I was like, you're just such an annoying fuck of a character, and I don't understand what you're anything about you. Like, I got giving nothing into that last scene, and up till then I was like, you're just annoying, and he's doing his typical fucking, like, I don't feel like he was giving anything more than his typical performance. Like, I don't know, I actually did, probably my least favorite character.
Really? Yeah. I love the banter. I thought it was really good, and obviously, an interesting adversary for Cornelius to Corio to have to
Corio
over
fuck his
stupid name. Kind of have to overcome like this authority figure who's against him. I thought that's really interesting. But then he's constantly talking about his dad was his best friend and stuff. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
Loved your dad, knew your mom. They were great people. You're a fuckwit, though. You're an absolute fuckwit. I hate you.
It's not Harry
It's
Potter.
Why?
Snape hated everybody. But yeah, the way it kind of comes together, like, I'm credited with coming up with the Hunger Games, but it was a drunken thing, and now I'm like just guilt stricken for the rest of my life, having to watch these children murder each other every year. And obviously he was the one like kind of trying to get old mate Sir Janice to like turn over a new leaf and that kind of stuff, and like constantly trying to end the Hunger Games like throughout the film.
Well, yeah, lucky he dies at the end. So,
well, yeah, they'll do it. Poison that morphine, that kind of stuff. Yeah. The Hunger Games itself, I thought was really well put together. Like, very sad. Like, Lucy Gray's friend, like, turning on her because of rabies. Like, this thing she couldn't stop. I love that. I'm really glad that nobody killed the Down syndrome girl. She was just taken out by snakes.
I was about to say, she does die. I don't know if you watch the same movie, but
you don't see it on screen.
No. Well,
she gets covered in a bunch of snakes. She didn't have to act dying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. I thought that was really well done, and just like the group of people that was ganging up on everybody, them getting their comeuppance, I think was really great.
It's always a gang.
And yeah, all the little tricks and cheats that he was trying to do to help win. The shitty drones that obviously terrible and like nearly kill a bunch of people. That was a really good addition. Yeah, I thought all the Hunger Games stuff really good. Again, it kind of like just goes off the rails a little bit when you get to him being sent to District 12. What's he doing here, really? He's torn. I feel like in a perfect world, of all the books, this one may be the one that you need to split into two. You end with him getting his comeuppance at the end of the Hunger Games, and then you cut to another movie where you actually explore in depth him being torn between wanting to be in the sick capital and this romance that he's got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like the splitting thing ever really works out, but I do feel like if they had planned it right, it could have worked.
Or maybe it should have been like a TV series, miniseries.
No, I feel like
Yeah.
that maybe they could have done a split, but then I feel like if they want to do this like full like good guy turns to bad arc, I think they would have needed to have done a better job in this first half of the movie of not making it more his character feel more like a gray area and like more of a legit nice guy. And then in the second film, he would have had to do a really good job of building up that hatred within him to get to that like ending. So
Yeah, it was during that segment, he was like he wanted to be in District 12, but also he hates every single person there in District 12. It's very weird.
yeah, he's like hanging out with these hippies and stuff, and like a scene prior, he's like, these fucking people lost the war. They're all scum. Like,
Yeah. It like doesn't really fit.
No.
You know? And then of course he turns his best friend in kind of on a whim, it feels like. He didn't really think it through. You know?
No, he knows what he's doing.
I think he assumed
He tries
his
to play
daddy would come and
naive,
save
but
him. Yeah.
yeah. I think he might have thought that his daddy would come save him, but like he knew that he was going to get in trouble one way or another. So I don't think he was trying to kill him, but.
And then Lucy Gray like kind of turns on him like very suddenly as well.
No, at least
one
Gray,
miswording of stuff. It's like
no, I get it. They have that scene where they talk about trust and all that sort of stuff to like set it up afterwards. With trust is the most important thing to her and whatever else, and she is obviously very anti-government sort of person, and he's weirdly the complete opposite. And I don't know why she somehow falls for his bullshit more or less. And
it's
not one. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not really a slip up, like a small slip up. It's I fucking killed someone, and the assumption is she realizes that it's whatever that dude's weird name was as well. Everyone has weird names. So Janice, yeah, which is
also
like
a dumb name.
Yeah, also a dumb name. She realizes that's who he's talking about, obviously. So knowing that he could turn on his best friend like that, is the reason, at least that's how I took it, is the reason that she decides to leave. Whether or not the movie does a really good job at portraying that, I don't think so.
Does, yeah.
But that's how I took it.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely is acting like something super sus when she leaves. That kind of stuff. But yeah, him in the forest, going crazy.
I don't mind the ambiguity around her. I can live with that. Does she live? Does she survive? Yeah. Is she the grandmother of Katniss? Who knows?
Probably. That's what happens in all these things, But yeah, I enjoyed the snake under his mother's scarf or whatever. That's pretty mean. It's like unnecessary. And I think everybody can get on board with Lucy Gray as soon as she like shoves a snake down somebody's dress at the start of the film. Yeah,
she's a really good character.
Yeah,
I feel
very
different to Katniss.
Yes, that's true. Well, I mean, she's not offensive at any point.
No, but she's definitely not the fighter that Katniss is and becomes. Because whether or not Katniss is comfortable with killing people, as especially during that first movie, she is ultimately and did prove to be a fighter. Like, especially by the time you get to the second film, she's straight up killing people. Like so. I could never picture this character doing that. Like anything that Katniss does. Like,
I mean, her with the poison in the water bottle.
Yeah.
Great plan. Unfortunate. Yeah. But
The only thing I'll say is I definitely feel like, so I looked up the actors' age afterwards because I was like, I don't know, this movie just felt like it missed the teen, because I don't know how old, I need to look that up. I don't know how old what's her name?
Rachel Zegler?
No, Katniss. What's Jennifer Lawrence? I don't know what Jennifer Lawrence was when she did the first Hunger Games, but the majority of that cast definitely felt more like appropriately teen or like around 18-ish. Rachel Zegler sort of is the only character in this movie that I felt like she was around that's the right age for her character, even though I know she's older than the characters already is. But
She's 22. Tom Blyth is currently 28.
yeah, like he definitely seems too old for the role, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, just because he's supposed to be a lot younger, at least how I took it. So,
I mean, he's always going to be university age. So, I mean, he should be like portraying an 18-year-old is the idea.
Well, yeah, 18. He doesn't look 18 to me. See, she's supposed to be like what, 16, 17, 18?
Sure.
Whatever. She's older than that, but she can play it.
She can play
That's
it.
fine. He just seemed way older, and that was the thing.
I think
like,
that's just implied that the capital people, they're more mature and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's just maybe that's just like a franchise thing where I'm like, obviously there's a part of this franchise that's associated as like a teen franchise sort of thing with teen cast and whatever. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how old. I mean, the first movie was released 2008.
Yeah. So what year was she born? Do some maths.
Good question. There we go. 1990. So what? 28.
Yeah.
Or 18, sorry?
No, 18.
18, yeah.
Yeah, so she was way more so she was actually basically a teenager.
All right, fit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss from the film?
That wasn't a film that made her. It was actually a film called Winter's Bone, but anyway.
I mean, there's films that get you nominated for Academy Awards and there's films that make you a star.
No, I got nothing. I really enjoyed the song sequences.
Yeah, great voice. Love the constant mentions of snow.
Yep.
That was really enjoyable. Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I think people I saw somebody like, oh, it seems like they were constantly trying to get Rachel Zegler to sing. She's got a great voice. But it all felt reasonably natural, I guess.
It all felt natural to the character. So
she's literally a songbird. That's the whole personality thing. So
again, I can only really like the way the mouse songs and everything felt natural for the character to me. I definitely feel like she was cast around the character, not the opposite way.
Yeah.
So yeah. The other thing I was thinking, like, it's one of these things, like, it's not new information, but just seeing it within the context of this movie being set like 64, 65 years earlier, whatever it is, to the main trilogy. I'm like, holy fuck, these motherfuckers over in District 13 were living underground for so long. Like, it's not like it's new information. Like, that's the whole revelation. Well, maybe. I don't know, but you know how like when they get a Mockingjay that they're like, oh, District 13, we've been like living in secret this entire time, blah blah blah. So it's not new information, but just seeing how what's happening in this film and how everything's like all these districts suck and even the capital sucks and whatever. I'm like, are these motherfuckers over there like living in secret now too? Like, probably. It's crazy. Like,
well, you're getting people from everybody's secretly going to
maybe all the people like secretly leaving other districts form District 13. Oh no, there's your sequel.
Do you think there's another Hunger Games movie?
I think there's not another book.
So there's not another book, so they would have to create something original, or Suzanne Collins would just kind of have to write another book.
And if this movie makes enough money, yes, they'll 100% try and get that to happen. Whether or not she allows that is a different question. But I think given the movie landscape we're living in right now, if this movie makes over a certain amount of money and they could comfortably greenlight a sequel, there's no reason they wouldn't want one.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is an interesting world where there is probably enough stories to tell. Whether it's the actual war that started everything or the 60-something years in between this and Katniss.
The problem is that there's a super interesting world here. We have to move away from the Hunger Games at this point. And I'm like, I don't know, is that the reason people are watching these movies?
A little bit. Because you've got a guaranteed spectacle where a bunch of children are going to murder each other.
Yeah, but I would definitely get bored. Like, if they did another movie and it was like, it's another Hunger Games, I'd be like, for fuck's sake. Right.
I mean, you didn't watch the movies that weren't about the Hunger Games, so what does that tell you?
Well, no, I never got around to them because I remember reading that they weren't good, and I actually I enjoyed the book, so I was like, I'll get to it one day, and I will. That day is coming up soon.
Sooner rather than later, I guess. All right, let us know what you thought of the Hunger Games. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Dumb movie name, dumb character names. Fucking hell.
At least they made the districts easy to understand. The numbers.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, let us know by going to explosioner.com or /Twitter or jump into Discord at explosioner.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars. Anywhere you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosioner.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching.
You hear that, boy? It's the sound of snow falling.
How wonderful that we all get to be here for someone's final performance.
It's not just about winning.
Everything is about winning.
You monsters! All of you!
It's the things we love most that destroy us.